Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and to the Ultimate Racing League, sponsored by W.GG, the energy drink for gamers, and Eldridge Air Conditioning. We are back with the BTCC replica challenge or championship that we run on a Wednesday evening. We're with the League One guys and well, we're really pushing our way through this league. We are at round 7 already. Now, I did promise last week we would go through the table, so I'm just going to go through the top 5 of the league table. This is the most up to date, so this is up to round 6. If you remember round 6, where were we last week? We were at the Nürburgring on the GP Sprint Circuit, and so this table includes that race. So at the top of the league table at the minute is Wadru on 296 points. Now 5 points behind him in second place is Neil Farmack on 291 points. Brian Moncani is in third. He's on 223 points. And then just 2 points behind him in fourth is Stormfly on 221 points. Bearing in mind Stormfly has missed a couple of rounds, so he will be really keen to do well in this race, I'm sure, to get some points on the board and maybe leapfrog Brian Moncani, but I'm sure Brian will have something to say about that. And then fifth in the table is T. Bennett on 180 points, so just 41 points off of Stormfly. But unfortunately, I've had a quick look down the grid and Mr. Bennett has not showed up for this race, so he will be losing some points. So yeah, it's all to play for. It's all to play for. So as I've mentioned, we're at round 7. We've come over to Austria, and we are at the Red Bull Ring, but we are on the short circuit. So this one is a bit of a penalty zone, but a few of the corners have been removed, and we're just on this almost oval circuit. It's only 1.4 miles, it's only 6 turns, but there are still plenty of penalties to be had out there. So this is race 1 in the morning. I think it's in the morning. Yes, it is. It's I don't know what I'm doing now. There we go, sunrise. So the sun should start to come up. It looks dry out there. I don't think there's any signs of rain for the 3 races we've got for you today, so we will crack on with it, shall we? We'll just change the camera. We'll have a look down the grid then, shall we? So Stormfly has put himself on pole positions. Only his second time on pole, actually, which is quite surprising. But yeah, Stormfly is on pole position. Grasshopper is in second. Wadru is in third. And to complete the top 4, as usual, is Neil Farmack. So though it's getting quite a regular sight having those 4 up there on the 2 front rows. Then we have a guest driver. Mr. Agent Smith has turned up. He does like to come and pop his head in the door every so often, and we're glad to have him. So it's nice to see Mr. Smith on the grid. He's in 5th position. Brian Moncani, he is in 6th. Scooby is 7th. Stealth is 8th. Unforgiven way down in 9th, with Corky in 10th. So that's the grid lineup for race 1. So let's get this race underway, shall we? Rolling start, actually. I thought it was quick starts, but it's a rolling start for this one as they head towards Nicky Lauda curve for the first time, and getting a bit squirrely as Stormfly as he goes around that curve. Now that is where you are going to pick a penalty up. Into turn 2, you've got to remember to turn right. Everybody's that used to going on the full circuit round Red Bull, you forget to turn right there, but everybody through. This is the probably the slowest, most trickiest part of the track through turns 2, 3 and 4, but everybody seems to have got through there okay. And down towards turn 5 at Rint. These are familiar corners with everybody, I'm sure. What would normally be turn 10 is now turn 6 as Stormfly takes us through, and that's pretty much the lap over with already. So it's a very, very quick lap. So at the minute Stormfly is out in front. He's got Wadru just behind him. Grasshopper in 3rd, Neil Farmack in 4th, so no change for the top 4. Smith carrying a penalty in P5. Brian Moncani just behind him also picked up a penalty early on as well, so 2 half-second penalties for those You can see the bar filling up, so they're going to be serving those soon. Scooby should be able to take Brian Moncarney's P6. Whether he's going to get close enough to Agent Smith, I'm not so sure, but Scooby will definitely take over P6 from Brian Moncarney. And then we go penalty served as Scooby just pulls to the inside as they approach turn 5. So Scooby moves up into P6 and now can start to harass Mr. Smith. Brian Moncarney down into 7th. Stealth in 8th in the focus, the only focus on track. Now, I've mentioned this many times. If you want to see those focuses really performing, well, not like the Stealth doesn't make it perform, but if you want to see lots of them performing, should I say, if you head over to Thingamajig's Racing channel and check out League 2, it is a focus fest, as I've said on a few occasions. They are everywhere. But Stealth, the only one running a focus in League 1. So he's currently sitting in 8th. Gorky in 9th. He's taken a spot away from Unforgiven, and Unforgiven down in 10th with a half a second penalty as well. So that Mercedes not really getting to grips with this track yet. Maybe it just needs a few laps just to warm up. Unforgiven normally very quick actually, but maybe this circuit is just not suited to that great lump of a Mercedes. Back up to the pointy end though as Stormfly tries to pull a bit of a gap back to Grasshopper and Wadru. Grasshopper, he's got a mirror full of Wadru, isn't he, as they go around turn 1, and Wadru really putting the pressure on. Overtaking a bit tricky on this track because it is so short. You just get your momentum going and then you have to slam the brakes on as you hit a corner, but Grasshopper doing a great job at the minute of holding off Wadru. So no real change then for the top 4. It's Stormfly, Grasshopper, Wadru, Neil Farmack. Grasshopper, Wadru and Neil Farmack do not want to let Stormfly start to open up a bit of a lead, but while they're battling away at the back, Stormfly, well, he's loving it as Neil Farmack has a bit of a look up the inside as they head towards turn 1. Wadru has picked up half a second penalty. I think he got that at turn 6. Let's have a look. Neil Farmack has got that move done, so Neil Farmack moves up into P3 and can get on after Grasshopper. Wadru is going to have to serve that penalty as well, so that is going to be at least well, half a second, nearly a second gap then between Neil Farmack and Wadru as they come around turn 4 then and head towards Rint at turn 5 for the 5th time. These laps absolutely flying by. Excuse me. So Wadru serves his penalty and Agent Smith comes flying up the inside to take P5 away from him. So that half a second penalty has really cost Wadru. He's now down in 5th. Our current league leader, Neil Farmack, who's only 5 points behind him in the table, is up into P3, so this is really going to help his cause. Wadru, I'm sure, will be cussing and cursing in that under that visor, and now he's got Smith in front of him before he can catch up with Neil Farmack. Just dropping down to P6 then, it's Scooby. Fended off Brian Moncarney. Brian Moncarney not really been able to get into this yet. Needs to start pushing a bit, move up through the grid if he wants to stop Stormfly leapfrogging him into the 3rd spot on the league table. But Stormfly currently out in front and loving it, and got a bit of a gap opening up as well as Stormfly. So Scooby holding up Brian Moncarney. Stealth in 8th in the focus, opening up a bit of a gap back to Unforgiven, who's retaken that place from Corky. So Unforgiven moves up into 9th. Stealth though in 8th. Around turn 1 they go, and then Corky, well, he must have had a bit of a moment because there's quite a gap there, and poor old Corky down in 10th in the Toyota. The other Toyota of Mr. Bennett obviously is missing. And Mr. Bennett is going to lose out on some valuable points. He's currently sitting 5th in the league table, but he's going to miss some really valuable points. But a chance for all of these guys on track to pick up some good ones. Corky, unfortunately, though, down in 10th and does seem to be getting a bit further back. Unforgiven in 9th. He can see the back of Stealth's focus, but he doesn't seem to be catching him up. we'll keep an eye on that one as we go back up to the front, and Stormfly really is starting to open up a gap now and looking comfortable back to Grasshopper. Grasshopper got Neil Farmack just sitting behind him as Neil Farmack pulls to the inside at turn 2. Couldn't quite get that done. Let's jump on board with Neil, shall we, as we go around turn 3 and then into turn 4. This would have been turn 8 on the normal track, on the bigger circuit, and then they head down this slight hill then towards again what would have been turn 9, but it's now turn 5 at Rint. Very careful not to drift too far to the left, otherwise you're going to pick a penalty up, same as we go through Red Bull Mobile at turn 6. You don't want to go drifting out to the left. That's where you pick your penalties up. Quick look behind then, and Smith has dropped off a little bit, so it is just these three that are starting to open up a gap. Neil Farmack doing everything he can to just stay in touch with Grasshopper, who in turn is trying to keep Stormfly in his sights. Great shot of the flames licking out the back of that BMW as Grasshopper goes through the gearbox. Smith in 4th then, our guest driver. He's keeping Wadru behind him. Great racer is Mr. Smith, very quick guy as well, so and he knows how to defend, so if he gets in front of you he can hold you up, and that's what Wadru's finding at the minute. Wadru really needs to try and get by Mr. Smith so he can try and catch up to Neil Farmack and Grasshopper, get himself back on the podium to keep the points up there. Remember, he is only 5 points ahead of Neil Farmack, and Neil Farmack currently sitting in 3rd. So that's Wadru into 5th, Scooby in 6th, Brian Carney in 7th. It's kind of spreading out now towards the back. Great shot there, you can just see the cars filtering their way through. Stealth in 8th in the Focus, taking us through turn 4. Then we've got Unforgiven and then Corky. So as I say, it is all very spread out towards the back. Same at the front actually, that gap getting bigger and bigger I think from Stormfly to Grasshopper as Stormfly crosses the start finish line to start lap 11. He's got the fastest lap at the minute as well, a 52.3, and very steady. It's a constant 52s look, so very steady, consistent driving from Stormfly. Grasshopper, he's in the 52s as well, which is pretty good going actually, considering the hassle he's coming under from Neil Farmack. And this is where the closest battle we've got really, I think, is Neil Farmack trying desperately to get P2 away from Grasshopper. Mr. Smith in 4th, he's having a fantastic race, isn't he? Just ahead of Wadru. Remember, he took that place from him a few laps ago when Wadru served a penalty. And talking of penalties, these guys doing a fantastic job actually. They're not picking up as many penalties as I thought they might. So it just shows the standard of driving from these League One guys. I'm just going to check and just make sure nobody has picked a penalty up. No, they haven't. Corky down in 10th. He's still penalty free at the minute. So race 1, always a good test for the cars, for the drivers. They get a feel of it and set themselves up for the next 2 races. Stormfly absolutely doing what he does best. Gets out in front and just disappears in that BMW. Grasshopper in 2nd, also in the BM, with Neil Farmack in the Genesis Coupe, just sitting there in 3rd. Not letting Grasshopper get away from him. Let's have a look at the time. We are 10.5 minutes, so just short of the 11 minute mark, so 4 minutes to go of this first race here in Austria. In fact, let's have a look. Somebody crossing the line. Let's jump on board with Unforgiven. We'll do a lap with Unforgiven, shall we? So as we come up towards turn 1, Nicky Lauda curve, trying to nick a little bit on the right hand side, don't want to drift too far to the left. I think Unforgiven just managed to pull it back in, and then we turn right here, whereas you can normally see up the track there up towards turn 2. So around turn 2 now, this technical part of the track, then immediately slung into turn 3. This is part of the bigger track, obviously. Well, it's all part of the bigger track, but it's the bit we're used to seeing. Down through turn 4, this is the penalty zone. Then we start down the hill towards Rint at turn 5. You can see Unforgiven's picked that half a second off. Then into turn 6 at Red Bull Mobile. Again, trying to cut as much as you can out of that right-hand apex. And then we're across the line to start lap 14. So that's Unforgiven trying to chase Stealth, but I don't think he's going to have enough time left unless Stealth really does something drastic. Corky down in 10th, so back up to the top then, and Stormfly looking very comfortable for his first win of the day. Out in front, Grasshopper in 2nd, Neil Farmack 3rd, Smith in 4th, still holding off Wadru. So great racing from Mr. Smith. Wadru in the other Mercedes cannot do anything about Mr. Smith in front of him. We have got 2.5 minutes to go. Brian Moncani trying to put the pressure on Scooby, but Scooby just lapping it up, not bothered, just going about his business and holding on to that P6. Overtaking is quite difficult here. As I say, you just get your momentum going, and then you have to slam the brakes on because you're hitting a corner. It does seem quite a short track. As we're following Brian Moncani down towards turn 5, can he get close enough to Scooby to make a move? What he needs to do is get tucked right underneath the bumper of him through turn 6 onto the start-finish straight, so you can pick up a bit of the slipstream before you get to turn 1. But Brian Moncani just cannot get close enough to Scooby. That BMW has got some pace in a straight line. Stealth in 8th. It's all getting very lonely for Stealth in 8th, as it is for Unforgiven and Corky. Stormfly, well, he is sort of on his own. He can see Grasshopper and Neil Farmack if he looks in his mirror when he's on the straight, but I'm sure it won't be worrying him at the minute, as we just come up to the last minute of this race, as Stormfly goes it's going to go through turn 6, then across the line. So let's have a look. He's doing 52s, he's crossing the line. Well, you know what, this may well be his last lap. It's going to be very close. I think it may be the last lap for Grasshopper and Neil Farmack, which I'm sure Grasshopper will be breathing a sigh of relief as he just gets a little bit out of sorts going through turn 1. And Neil Farmack has seen an opportunity there, couldn't get the move done. He did have a bit of a look, didn't he, as they approached turn 2. He's seen that Grasshopper got out of shape out of turn 1, and Neil decided to apply the pressure. So around turn 5 they go into turn 6. We're going to have to go up to see Stormfly as he goes around the final turn and onto the start-finish straight. Now, if we've got 4 seconds, I think Stormfly is going to get another lap in. Is Grasshopper? Yes, he is. Is Neil? No, Neil Farmack has finished 3rd. Smith comes in 4th. Wadru is going to take 5th. Scooby 6th. Brian Moncani 7th. Stealth is going to finish in 8th. With Unforgiven across the line in 9th, and Corky will finish in 10th. So it is just the front 2, Stormfly and Grasshopper, that are going to do a lap of honour, basically, as we see Corky come around the final turn and head towards that checkered flag. He'll be glad to see that. So back with our race leader, Stormfly. Just one more turn to go to claim his first victory of the day. Made it look easy, didn't he? Just out for a bit of a test drive. So Stormfly takes the victory with Grasshopper in 2nd, Neil Farmack in 3rd. So that was race 1 at the Red Bull Ring Short Circuit for the BTCC Replica Championship. Join me very shortly for race 2, which will be, well, the guys are going to go off and have a cup of tea and some breakfast and they'll be back out a bit later on this morning, so I shall catch you all then.